5.
Well, good Monday evening and welcome into another live edition of Mississippi Live Weather here at 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon here. As you know, what has been a hot day, we do anticipate that we're going to have conditions that could get a little hotter the next couple of days. Welcome you in, of course, here to the Room to Room Weather Center on this Monday evening. And the headlines this evening, mostly dry from most locations. You just don't see a lot of vertical development out of any of those cameras there. And I think that means, again, good conditions for your evening plans. The mugginess, though, building a little bit day by day. It's not extreme at this instant, though, becoming more significant the next few days. And better rain chances through the week. But I'll be honest, I mean, even, everything I'm looking at here, I'm just not impressed by what we're looking at as far as rain chances go for the next couple of days. The pattern just is not particularly great for that. Now, maybe a rogue little pop-up shower this evening. 90 degrees still, that average temperature at 6 p.m. We're looking about 77 by midnight. And down in the mid-70s tomorrow morning. Mid-70s means one thing: your house doesn't cool down as much at night, and that also kind of places us in the zone where the stickiness factor continues to increase a bit more day by day. So as we look outside of our camera in Amory right now, temperature is 93. It's not cool. It feels like 102 on those northeast winds at this instant. That a direction that has kept us from reaching the extreme levels on the stickiness factor. Appreciate the good folks there, North Mississippi Storm Chasers, of course, for helping us with these cameras. It's 97 Greenwood, 104. 104, 1 degree below what would qualify as a heat advisory. So we're luckily not at that threshold yet. Of course, it is 5 p.m. and heat indices were a little bit greater earlier on this afternoon. Not a lot of low clouds there, just high thin clouds primarily there in the background. And in the foreground here, just some puffy clouds in Oxford. 97, more manageable. That dew point there lower than most, mid 60s. So it does show we do have some pockets of relatively drier air. That's why even though we've been able to have enough moisture to bubble up some clouds, those clouds haven't gotten tall enough that they're producing meaningful precipitation of any sort of fashion there across our area. And then Winona, again, fairly flat clouds. 91, it feels like 97 degrees there in Montgomery County with some cool cirrus clouds. Those were the ones that if you happen to see and happen to have sent us some of your sunset pictures, weather watchers last night, those are the ones that were the beautiful pink up there. They're so high that even after the sun has gone below the horizon, those longest wavelengths hit those and really light them up. So one of the cool things that we get this time of year, and we have those clouds made up of ice crystals way aloft there. 102 in Tunica, 102 in Cleveland. Of course, these are heat indices, like 100 degrees for most locations. I mean, cool spot Red Bay at 95 for that heat index, 94, what it feels like right now in Hamilton, Alabama. And across the state, we have some of the hottest values in the Delta. That 102 there in Greenville, coming in, it's about the same as what it is down in Hattiesburg at this instant. They've had some better rain chances down closer to the coast, down in South Mississippi. As we come in a little closer here, look at Mississippi Live Weather Radar. Unfortunately, the radar there in Monroe County still down. National Weather Service really trying to work to get that one going. If there was ever a time for the kinks to get worked out, now is the time, because as you can see, we are dry and clear, not just here, but around the region. And there are those heat advisories, the only alerts that we do have in the region down there in South Mississippi and back toward Natchez and Jackson, Central Mississippi. You can see those in effect until this evening. Still remains to be seen whether or not those are extended. We do expect probably some expansion for some locations later this week. Across the region, you can see here, we just have some of those showers showing up down there toward Montgomery and Macon, out toward Alabama and toward Tallahassee. As we kind of see if we can bring this down to the latest scans here on this, and I'll change over the data for a second. I'm going to go kind of wide here. We're going to look at the colorful satellite perspective, and I'm going to go really wide because we do have a new disturbance we need to mention all the way out here in the Atlantic. This is Aaron. I'll just kind of circle it for you here. Long, long, long ways away, right? I mean, how far is a long, long ways away? Just for perspective, we show versus Mississippi about 3,000 miles. A ton is going to happen with this. This is a tropical storm right now, and Gabe will talk about this a lot more coming up here in just a little bit. But this system is expected to be not just the first real hurricane of this summer portion of the season, but of course expected to be possibly the first major hurricane of the entire Atlantic hurricane season. Now, the trajectory on this expected to head west, and then the question is how far west? Does it go out here toward Florida? Most indications have it kind of curving northward. That has a lot to do with some of what's going on with high pressure along the east coast of the United States. But it's the first one we're really going to have to watch because it is expected to strengthen a lot over the next few days. So it is a long, long, long ways away at this point here, and we'll have a ton of time to talk talk about that as we go throughout the next few days. But again, we're watching most of the storms down there closer to the coast, but I just wanted to hit that. That's kind of the big weather headline for today. Most of the rain chances, you can see solidly back toward the east and southeast of us. Look at this zone where we have them back here, Mobile, Montgomery, out toward Atlanta on our futurecast here. That's where we certainly have kind of that trough still in place. And you will notice there's a clear-cut zone out here where there's a lot more rainfall, even extended back into Louisiana associated with this, whereas we just can't really manage much, even though Futurecast tries to depict a couple of showers in the northwest part of the state. Most of us dry overnight, and cloud cover again with this zone still the focal point for most of the activity tomorrow, even though we show a couple of showers getting closer, 8 o'clock in the morning. There are a lot of projections don't have much. So as we look at the next 24 here in the Room to Room Weather Center, we're at 74 degrees at 6 a.m. We're 80 by 9 a.m., 87 degrees by noontime, with rain coverage increasing into the afternoon. Now, Gabe, we've left in that 30%, and we'll let him discuss this here in a minute. That is optimistic, we will say, on the rain coverage for tomorrow. If it were to reach that value, it would be in the afternoon to early evening. But if has been the story. I mean, we have drought conditions that are already developing and continuing to expand. Coming up here in 60 seconds, of course, we'll be looking in more detail at just what that means for you as we time out that forecast and look at some of those rain chances and some of the potential accumulations. We're not going to do the super high res stuff because I think sometimes that overinflates the optimism here. We'll look kind of the wider shot as Mississippi Live Weather at 5 continues right after this.
As a nurse, I've seen a lot of people with sleep deprivation. It affects their job, their home life. At Room to Room, we want to take the guesswork out of buying a mattress, and that's why we brought in this technology. It shows you what you need. We want to do the assessment and find exactly what's perfect for you.
At Absolute Restoration, our team will feel magical, since our focus is on serving you and your roofing needs. Finding a roofer who actually shows up and communicates, that's just one of the problems we solve by informing you of every step in the process.
Selling premium roofing systems backed by warranties and payment plans starting at just $99 per month. Trust Absolute Restoration to deliver.
Experience unicorn-level service and affordability from a team your community trusts. Call Absolute Restoration today.
For more than 100 years, First Choice Bank has provided dedicated community banking to North Mississippi. The banking products and services you need when you need them. At First Choice, you're our priority. Make First Choice your choice for banking.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Welcome back into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. Beautiful submissions yesterday from our weather watchers out in the field, starting with this picture from Charity in Lee County. Matt was talking about a few of those cirrus clouds, but actually got a few of those cumulus clouds blocking a little bit of that sunshine and making for some beautiful rays there in the sky, especially earlier on before that sun really sank below the horizon. But here's some of those cirrus clouds that he was talking about, really just showing those vibrant colors across the area. Justin in New Albany capturing this fantastic shot of the horizon. More like this expected tonight, so make sure to send those submissions into the Mississippi Live Weather app, giving us the latest look in the sky and letting us know what you guys see. Again, we appreciate it so much and definitely look forward to it for 6 and 10. But let's go ahead and look outside right now. We do have those cumulus clouds still popping up, but you might notice these are more of a horizontal development like Matt was talking about earlier. Whenever we get those rain chances, there's that slight little bit of lift that would make these more of a vertical development. That's where we could get those brief isolated showers. Since that's not in place, we're not really expecting too high on those rain chances, but 94 feeling like 100. It's hot, it's muggy, it's summer in Mississippi. And it's not just in Caledonia. If we jump across the state, we'll see that in Crenshaw, 93 still feeling like the triple digits. And then even as we jump across the state yet again, it's just surrounding the entirety of North Mississippi. Luckily down in Kosciuszko, hey, if you want to take your blessings where you can. 100? No, it's 99. So there is some places that are slightly better, but I say slightly better with a grain of salt because it's still hot and muggy. Rolling Fork, 96, feels like 106. Would not be surprised to see a few heat advisories be expanded into our Tuesday just because those mugginess values continue to make those temperatures, or those feels like temperatures, ramp way up. But Mississippi Live Weather Radar keeps us dry across the region, and not just dry, we're seeing plenty of clear skies as well. So that sunshine getting to the ground, warming up that surface, and that's why we have those temperatures be so warm, especially right now on our Monday. So make sure to be plenty hydrated and, of course, have ways of staying cool. Air conditioning will be very essential as we head through the day. Temperature-wise right now, we're talking low to mid-90s at 95 out towards Greenwood, Belzona, and Cleveland. That's our highest temperatures across the region, but even back towards Oxford, 93. 95 New Albany, 92 in Boonville, 89 there in Iuka, 88 in Hamilton. So like I said, some areas are better than others, but it is still just going to be a hot and muggy forecast. Futurecast, you can see those winds blowing in out of the east, but whenever we look at this model, it's not overly high on those rain chances. We have one that's trying to pop up, but the thing with this forecast is it's been in such a dry pattern. Getting one of these showers to actually produce is such an uphill battle that it's more than likely going to lose in the long run. So we're not overly high on those rain chances. We do have that 10% as we head towards 9 o'clock with that little bit of moisture that pushes in that surge from the east. But again, not overly high on that, and your evening plan should stay on the drier side. 10 p.m., those chances dissolve out completely, and we're going to be dry heading overnight. No rumbles of thunder expected, not even a drop of rainfall in the forecast as we head overnight. Moving into our Tuesday morning commute looking good as ever. Partly cloudy skies across the region, so unfortunately not going to be able to see that sunrise in some locations because where those clouds pop up, it's going to be more of that stratus clouds that blankets the sky just a bit more, and it will also make us not as cooler. So that's why low temperatures tomorrow morning, where it's going to be clear, 72, 73, but where that stratus cloud develops, well, 74, 75, possibly even 76 you see out there towards Greenville. Now the day goes on and we will get that patchy sunshine throughout the day. So this is going to be your Tuesday morning. Moving into your mid to late Tuesday morning, that stratus clouds, you can see a few breaks here and there, but that moisture definitely trying to surge into the forecast. So some models have that moisture in the form of rainfall. Others have it in the form of cloud cover. But as we move towards our Tuesday afternoon, one of our short track models has those 10% chances as early as lunchtime. And then as we head further into our afternoon, again, this is a very high projection. The thing is, this is all going to be wraparound moisture off of that low that's going to be pushing through Alabama. So we are going to be getting remnants of it, but not overly high on those rain chances here in North Mississippi. Continuing into that early to mid-afternoon, that rain chance pushes into, I believe that's Tullahoma there in Tennessee. But where we are, we're basically on the shear axis that's going to be isolated to possibly scattered showers at times, but again, not overly high on those chances. 4 p.m. on your Tuesday, those isolated chances do stick around and into our evening as well. So it is going to be hot, it is going to be muggy, but it's not going to be overly rainy through the day. So those afternoon activities still should be good to go for most of us. High temperatures, low to mid 90s, especially where it's drier. Rain-cooled air makes those temperatures drop back just a bit. So some areas will get that blessing, but unfortunately it's not going to be widespread. Heat indices. We talked earlier about the fact that we could see some more heat advisories in effect. And the reason why is because out in the Delta, we're talking 105 Clarksdale, 106 Cleveland, 106 towards Greenville. Whenever that we're at that 105 plus threshold, that's where you could get some of those advisories be issued, and we would not be surprised to see that extended into the Delta. But moving into Tuesday evening, this is definitely ambitious, should I say, on this model because it's moving in a large batch of moisture. And one of the things we'll be talking about tonight at 6 is more on that atmospheric analysis and what will exactly be taking place that could produce an increased coverage of showers for our Wednesday. So moving overnight, drier conditions still in place, but that cloud cover building just a bit. You have this interaction that's happening out in the atmosphere that could produce a few of those isolated chances. And I'm going to bring in our Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobb, on here for just a moment to talk to us more about what these models are trying to tell.
I mean, so let's be clear. Like you've done more analysis on this than I have today. This seems a little excessive, right? Especially considering how dry we've been. Do we think that the model has too moist of a bias?
For sure, and especially whenever we're tracking Tuesday night into Wednesday, that overly aggressive model definitely had that widespread rainfall. Mm-hmm. That's going to be happening up towards Oklahoma and Texas, and it's also going to be happening out on the East Coast. So we're kind sandwiched.
So we're in the middle where maybe we miss both.
Exactly. And so the thing is if any of those disturbances moves a little bit more towards North Mississippi, then those chances start to climb. And so that's why you're teetering that anywhere from 20 to 40% coverage on your Tuesday and Wednesday.
So let's talk about how that affects heat. Is it possible that if we're overdoing moisture on precipitation, that maybe with a slightly lower dew point, could we end up with situations where the heat index isn't as high, but the temperature goes a little hotter?
For sure. And that's one of the things we always say is rain chances increase, temperatures decrease. And so whenever you have this fluctuation that's happening, well, that's the story of the day. And so that can really change your forecast of what your main concern is as you go about the day. But that's why we just need to stay hydrated and need to have an umbrella in the back seat just to cover all those possible outcomes.
Okay, that makes pretty good sense there. Appreciate that, Gabe. Sorry, I just wanted to try something new and pop in.
No, I mean, and it's good to discuss these things because it is summer in Mississippi and it's so random, it feels like, whenever these storms develop. And so understanding the atmospheric analysis, understanding this time of year, it's always an uphill battle with that 20% coverage. And you'll see a lot of stations that they'll just have a 10% coverage all day long because the chance of an isolated shower is definitely there. But it's whenever you get that influx of moisture that you could see a little bit of those higher chances. And I would say Wednesday afternoon looks like our best bet for some of that rainfall happening there towards mid to late afternoon. A few of those pop-up showers and a few of those being on the heavier side definitely could see some brief heavy rainfall. So 6 p.m. you can see that large mass of rainfall down there towards Louisville and Macon. That extends further north, and here's a look at your Wednesday night. While this is aggressive, I will say it is also a very likely scenario of some of those isolated pockets of moisture that produce some heavy rainfall. Now, 1 a.m., are we getting individual cells across the area? Well, it seems a bit of a stretch on that end, but it at least shows that moisture returning. And even beyond that point, if it's a drier day Wednesday, if we get a couple of those showers to develop and moisten up the atmosphere, well, then that heightens our likelihood moving forward for a few more of those rain chances. High temperatures, like we were talking about, they could vary. If it's a drier forecast for Wednesday, these temperatures bump up. And so that's one of the things we're watching and tracking is just what those high temperature outputs will be. But with that rain-cooled air, of course, bumping it down, but where it's drier, low to mid 90s expected. So hot, yes, and muggy. 107 Clarksdale, 105 Cleveland, 105 Greenville. Would not be surprised to see those heat advisories in effect and continue well into our Wednesday as well. And not ending there, we're talking about an extended forecast following that same trend. Because beyond this point, 92 Thursday, 94 Friday, and then 95 by the weekend. And yes, the moisture is still in the atmosphere, so adding to that mugginess. Dew points, whenever we talk about that, we're talking mid 70s for your Tuesday on into your weekend. So whenever we get that, it shows that it's a very moist atmosphere, shows that mugginess is definitely going to be a concern, and it also shows that we're not going to see much cooling off overnight. Whenever you have a high dew point, temperatures don't cool off beyond that dew point. It has to match that value. So your lowest temperature you're getting for your Friday and Saturday, 74, 75. So that's already a mild start to the day with temperatures climbing beyond that point. But let's go ahead and talk about air in just a bit more. And unfortunately, it seems like we're going to be losing the product on this as night comes in. It's just, you lose that satellite imagery. But you can see it right off of the coast of Africa. And one of the things that we were talking about behind the scenes is this is already a deadly storm, and it's tropical storm strength. As this continues to move west, we will definitely see that start to climb. So here's a look at Aaron out there on the coast of Africa. Latest outputs on this, we're talking about 45 mile an hour winds, a 1,004 millibar pressure. Whenever you get those stronger hurricanes, that pressure lowers and those winds, of course, increase. So that's what we're watching as it pushes west, is for both of those things to happen. And some of these projections are definitely aggressive. And we honestly would not be surprised if this were to happen because it's on that right stretch where it's not dealing with that dust moving in. It's not dealing with the high shear environment. You're getting that warm, moist air from the Atlantic basin and all across the mid-Atlantic right there. And so you're seeing Category 2 strength by Friday. And I know it's not included right there. It might be. There we go. Yes, Category 3 possible on your Saturday. So not only is this going to be a strong storm, it could be the first major hurricane for the 2025 season. So Aaron, definitely keeping eyes on that moving forward. And you can see that we are still, by Saturday, far away from the United States, or the center 48. So you can see right there, it is starting to trend a little bit more north at this point. And that's one of the things we'll be talking about tonight at 6 as well, is how exactly that tracks and why we're not overly concerned with those rain chances here in the United States. Or you want to come in here real quick?
Well, I just want to, one of the things, you show the cone there, and I think we always want to clarify that cone gives kind of the possible center track of this, right?
Yes.
You know, and so you can see on the north side there, if you just kind of trace along that it is not at a route that really brings it anywhere near the Gulf of Mexico. And even if you look at the center track of that, right, Gabe? I mean, it's not exactly pointed at the Gulf. So the way in which it's kind of aiming, we're hoping that it recurves northward. Most indications, you'd say, are the same on that?
Yes, all long track models have it trending north, and once it reaches, I don't know how many miles, but at least a couple hundred miles off of the Atlantic coast. So not overly concerned with that.
To nearly thousands of miles, yeah.
Possibly. And the thing is, this is Saturday, once it reaches that point. Saturday is still
Yeah,
5
long
days
ways away, right?
So, we're already a long way away from here, and then a long way away even when it's at Saturday.
Well, and then this is the storm system, the Ryan folks, we were talking about last week, like early last week, that models grabbed it early and said it's going to be strong. And they a lot of times do that. Did you ever play the guess what kind of car it was game when you were growing up?
Yes.
So the way I like to explain this to my kids is, you know how you can figure out that Mack truck first? When you play the letter game, it's like, oh, I need an M. It's like, Mack. And my brother would be like, you cheated. It is right there. But you could tell it was coming. Strong systems, just like large vehicles, you can tell coming better in the extended. So the fact this was strong, I think that's the reason to grab the hold it so early.
And I think it's a good description calling it a Mack truck because it might be the first major hurricane. So it's going to be coming in like a Mack truck.
Well, and hopefully it stays out there in the Atlantic for us. Probably some waves, beach erosion, that kind of stuff along the East Coast. But at least early indications are positive for the lower 48.
And they're also talking about possible rip currents if it were to get close enough. So yeah, definitely out in the sea is the concern. Land, I think will be good, but long track models definitely a lot to tell in the next 7 to 14 days. So one of the things we'll be tracking is, of course, Aaron, but we're also just going to be walking through the atmospheric analysis altogether and why we're not overly concerned and what we expect to take shape that could, drive this forecast moving forward. So rain chances, I know 30% for your Tuesday. That's more than likely going to be dropped back to a 20 as we head further into the 6 and 10 o'clock broadcast. Just not overly high on those rain chances, but Wednesday, definitely our best chance to see a few of those scattered showers and storms. Thursday, Friday, right at 30, and then by the time we reach Saturday and Sunday, a drier forecast in place with isolated chances, but temperatures, they're on the climb. We say rain chances move down. Temperatures do what? They come up. So we expect that to happen. And so we'll be watching that hot and muggy forecast moving forward. Just make sure to have that rain gear in the back seat, like I mentioned, just to be on the safe side. And of course, another way to be safe.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.